if I make no mistake, we came to Fairview in 19, I believe it was 52 and 4.
Okay, great. Now let's back up and tell me your name, your family name, and if you have sisters and brothers, and where did you live, or where do you live, and how is it that you ended up attending Fairview in Cave Spring?
Well, I lived in Flat Rock, Cunningham, and I went to the school at Flat Rock, right across the road from our church, which is Flat Rock Baptist Church, and the school sat right across right across the road in front of the church, and I went to Flat Rock in the first grade, and at that time it was just one room building, and it was 3 grades in there, first, second, and third, and we only had one teacher. And after that was consolidated, then that's when we came to Fairview.
Okay, now you're using the word consolidated. I don't understand what, something happened
Yeah,
with education, with the school systems. And so you all, the schools, your school, Cunningham, all those schools came to Fairview at that time. Is that what?
that's
Okay.
what I'm saying.
Okay. All right.
So maybe I'm not using the right
No,
word.
no,
but
I just didn't understand, what was happening in the school system at that time, and I thought, yeah, that's what happened. Because I went to school in South Carolina that after the consolidation, as you said, took place, we ended up going to Allendale High School. All right, well, tell us, family, about your family.
Well, it was
How many?
6 in my family,
Great.
and my oldest brother, he graduated from Maine High, and my oldest sister, she graduated from Fairview with, I don't know if you knew them, with Luella Hughes, Dorothy Ann Waters, and Mary Tiller. I think it was like 6 of them that graduated from Fairview.
Okay, and the others from Maine High School in Rome, Georgia. Great. Okay, so mom and dad.
Mother and dad, they worked hard. My dad worked at Pepper Manufacturing in Lindale,
Okay.
and my mother, she did side work like cleaning for those houses in Jamestown, Lindale, they call it. So she would do cleaning, and at that time they did washing and ironing, and so they did that to raise us. And so I can say we lived in the country, but we had a good living because they made
Did
sure.
y'all own any cattle, like horses and cows and whatever else?
Yeah, my daddy had a farm. He had a small cotton field right down below where we live. And he had hogs. He enjoyed raising hogs. And we had cows. And he had 1 mule.
Okay, so you came from, how did you get from Flat Rock to school every day?
Mr. Wilson Turner
Okay.
drove the bus. And when at that time, Mr. Garrett was driving the bus.
Okay.
So he would come through Flat Rock and pick up everybody that was coming to Cave Spring.
Great. About how many people were on your bus every day?
At that time, that community, you know how it was from growing up in the country. At that time, it was a community full of
Children.
children,
And you said you
Yeah.
had about 6 or 7 in your family. Other families about the same size, or were they smaller?
Oh, they were larger.
Larger?
Larger. Right across the road from where I lived was my daddy's brother. And those were my first cousins. And it was like about 14 in that family. They had a large family.
Wonderful, wonderful, wonderful. Okay, well, let's come to school. What was it like? What was the school day like here at Fairview for you?
Well, coming to school here at Fairview, it was nice. At that time, I had a lot of friends here. And Miss Grimes and Miss Solomon and Miss Willie Mae were our teachers. And Professor Body was the principal.
Okay,
And before Professor Body, it was, I think, Professor Walker,
okay.
if I make no mistake. Some of this stuff I forget, but I think that's about
Well, that's
right.
okay. I keep looking at the pictures of the principals over there, and I'll get up and put a name with the picture in a few minutes. But now, did Mr. Brown come before Body?
Yes, he did.
Right.
Because I was younger when he came.
Okay.
Because he used to come up to the house to see my mother
Okay.
and the older children that was going to school.
Okay. What was the day like? A typical day like at the school? When you got here, tell me what happened. What did you do?
Well, when we got here, at that time, which they don't do anymore, but our first day started off with devotion,
And devotion involved?
a song, and a prayer. Then our day would start with our lesson.
Would you change classes, or did you stay in that class most of the day?
We only changed classes, I think, like after lunchtime. And most of the day, well, the first part of the day, we was in that one room.
Okay.
Then after lunchtime, we went to another class.
With that same teacher?
No,
That morning, would you be in that room for those hours until lunch with the one teacher?
yeah, with that one
Did you ever
teacher.
have a class where you had 2 teachers in the same class?
No, we only had one teacher.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, well, let's go to lunch.
Yeah, okay. Before we went to the next class, we had lunch. And then after lunch was when we went to the second class.
Okay, what was lunch like?
Well, at that time, let's see, Miss Stocks was our lunchroom teacher.
Okay.
But we hardly ever ate in the lunchroom. We always had sack lunches.
Okay.
My mother would always fix us our lunch. And only time we ate in the lunchroom would be like field trips, a special occasion.
Okay.
So she would always,
Okay, let's go back to field trips. You would eat in the lunchroom. Why was that? Or you just didn't bother to bring your lunch when you were going on a field trip?
well, when we went on the field trip, they furnished our lunch.
Okay.
Hmm. They would have sack lunches.
Okay.
And it would be like crackers and maybe one sandwich. And then they would have a cooler and they would give us a drink.
Okay.
There wasn't no big lunch. It was just a small lunch.
All right. So what have you done since graduating from high school that you're proud of, and maybe you attribute it to things that you learned or involvement here at Fairview?
Well, after I left high school, I went to Columbus, Ohio. I had planned to take up beautician, but I went to Columbus, Ohio and stayed for 5 years with my oldest sister. But I didn't go into that field. I only ended up working at a bakery.
Okay.
So I worked at that bakery for 5 years. And then my mother got sick. And everybody had left home. And my sister that was living here, she had got married. And it wasn't anybody home with her. So I left and came home to be with her.
Okay, again, when you left here, you moved where?
To Columbus, Ohio.
Columbus, Ohio. Did a lot of people from this area migrate to Columbus or to Ohio during that time?
It was. I was just talking to Faye and Mary a few minutes ago because they had people lived in Columbus, Ohio.
Okay.
And then the Austins, I don't know if you knew any of the Austins from the Bend, they lived in Columbus, Ohio.
Okay, so that was during the migratory period when people were leaving the countryside, going to find something better, I suppose.
Yeah.
You found something better, but you had to come back because of Mom. You have a brother? Do you have any brothers?
I have a brother, your husband know my brother, lived right down the street from where I lived. He rode motorcycles.
Okay.
And he lived in Columbus, Ohio. He had a business up there.
Okay.
And so in 92, I believe it was, he came back from Ohio and moved back to Georgia.
Okay.
And built his home. And so after that, I think it was 2015, he passed away.
Oh, I'm sorry. Well, let's deal with you and Fairview and the community and the culture that's here as a result of us having had the Fairview School here. What would you say that you learned from this experience that you have as of today, and you wish that that we still had those kinds of things in the community?
Fairview was a wonderful school. And yeah, I wish that they had left it instead of tearing it down so we could still have memories of that school. Because at that time you didn't have much to do, but sometime like on weekends, like that Friday, they would have a basketball game and then a little dance afterward.
Okay.
And by me living in the country, I didn't get to attend much, but sometime I would get to come.
It was wonderful. Well, that's great. Now, how far out of town do you live? How many miles?
Now, you know where our church is? Flat Rock.
Yes.
From Flat Rock to Cave Spring, now how many miles would that be?
Would y'all come to Cave Spring on weekends, or would you go to Rome, or what would you do for entertainment on weekends?
Oh, on the weekends, well, we would go to Rome, we would go to town, and that would be the only time we go to town. So we would go to town, and Mother would shop and let us get maybe a new outfit.
Okay.
Into the grocery store. And most of the time we entertained ourselves. We had little games like baseball.
Okay.
We would play with the children in the community. Everybody in the community would get together on Sunday afternoon,
Okay.
and that would be our entertainment.
That's wonderful. So what would you do on Sunday afternoon? You cook out, or?
On Sunday afternoon, after we go to church and come back, everybody would eat at home. Then we would have our fellowship, I call it.
Okay.
All the cousins and friends would get together and play games, merry-go-round, little saddle walk, all that kind of stuff.
All right. Now, do you have children?
Yeah, I do.
Okay. How many children do you have, and what can you tell us about you and them?
Now, I have 2 boys and a daughter. And my daughter is a nurse. She went to Atlanta, can't call the name of the college, Miss Willie Mae.
That's all right, dear.
But she went to Atlanta and took up nursing training. And my oldest son and my youngest son, they went to the Navy.
Okay.
And they enjoyed the Navy. And so, let's see, in 1980, I think it was, no it wasn't, it was 1980 when my oldest son went to the Navy. And then in 1982, my youngest son graduated from West Rome High,
Okay.
and he went to the Navy.
Okay.
So,
Any lasting thoughts or anything you'd like to leave with us about Severa and things that you would like to see changed?
well, I would like to leave a legacy for the younger generation.
What would you like to say to them?
I would like to tell them that they have a better chance now than we had. Because it wasn't hard, but it wasn't as easy because now they are driving cars. We didn't have cars to drive. We had to wait for somebody to pick us up. So I would like to tell the younger generation that they got so much more to look forward to than we had back in the days when I was growing up.
And we'd like for them to take advantage of those that they do have.
Yeah, they would like to take advantage instead of so much meanness. They need to love one another, do better, get better jobs, and live a better life.